Here we have brain abscess. With the brain abscess, acute focal suppurative infection of brain parenchyma. What's suppurative mean to you? Bacterial. Under brain abscess, there might be direct seeding. Local extension, meaning to say that you have a type of infection taking place down in the mastocytitis or sinusitis. Or it could be hematogenous, acute bacterial endocarditis, or cyanotic congenital heart defects. So any one of these type of presentations could then result in eventual brain abscess, spreading. Clinical features: headache, nausea, vomiting, papedema, focal neurologic, pretty nonspecific, elevated CSF WBC count, and here we go. Ring-enhancing lesion on CT or MRI. So now let's step back for 1 second and at least review the 3 different ring-enhancing lesions that we've seen. Technically, 2. Toxoplasmosis, AIDS patient, immunocompromised. Most common CNS infection in an AIDS patient, toxoplasmosis. What if serology comes back to be negative? You still move forward with treatment because your patient has AIDS. How long do you give therapy? A lifelong therapy. Toxo. Then we looked at another ring-enhancing lesion during an active infection with neurocysticercosis. It could be ring-enhancing, but I told you most common presentation would be a calcified cyst in the brain. And then we have brain abscess. And here we have ring-enhancing lesion. Pathogenesis, well, we just walked through how maybe a patient has endocarditis. Maybe there was a direct seeding, so on and so forth. Hematogenous spread. Edema, ring-enhancing lesion, and an abscess core. So in other words, this time, we don't have calcification, so therefore, we have a ring with an abscess core. What's an abscess core mean to you? Neutrophils, right? And what does that abscess core mean to you? Apart from neutrophils coming in, what kind of necrosis is this? What if there is no identification of structure of that organ? It would be liquefactor necrosis because neutrophils are destroying everything in its path. Brain abscess. Topic now brings us to encephalitis. Let me make sure that we organize our thoughts before we move on. Up until this point, we have pretty much looked at meningitis, CNS infections, and now we are dealing with infection of the brain parenchyma. Picture that. Confusion, delirium, focal neurologic, seizures, and coma. Let me ask you something. If your patient has meningitis, how likely is it that your patient may have seizures? If it was strictly meningitis, maybe not necessarily. But now what if you have a spreading into the brain, behaving as space-occupying lesion? Well, there is every possibility that seizures might be taking place. Now, the infections that come into the following categories. Arboviruses, including your St. Louis, Eastern, Western Equine, West Nile virus. Enteroviruses, and where we will be spending time with will be HSV-1, herpes. If your patient is in a state of immunocompromised, maybe cytomegalo, EBV, or even perhaps varicella zoster. What's my topic? Encephalitis. Now you'll notice for the most part, these are viruses that are commonly found as etiologies.